You were trained to care about boomers. You were algorithmically conditioned to decode Gen Z. But the generation that actually built the world you live in, we treat them like background noise. They built the internet, but don't post their coffee. They run engineering teams, but never tweet about hustle culture. They gave their kids the childhood they never had and still feel like ghosts in the generational conversation. This is Generation X, and their psychology holds the key to understanding modern resilience. Picture this, 1978. You're 8 years old, key around your neck, cold metal against your shirt. You push open the front door to silence. Not peaceful silence, heavy silence. No parents, no phone to call them, no Ring camera blinking red in the corner. Just you, the hum of the refrigerator, and 3 hours until headlights finally cut through the living room blinds. This wasn't neglect, it was economics. By 1984, 7 million American children came home to empty houses every single school day, according to the American Journal of Orthopsychiatry. And that silence taught them something brutal and transformative. No one is coming to save you. Psychologists call this a high contingency environment. Translation: actions had immediate, unbuffered consequences. Spilled juice on the carpet, you cleaned it before mom got home or faced the fallout. Forget homework? No email reminder from the teacher, just a 0, period. This forged a mind that thinks 3 moves ahead, not out of paranoia, but necessity. While other generations learned to negotiate consequences, Gen X learned to avoid them entirely by anticipating reality before it hit. But here's what really shaped them. They watched the adults lie to them, repeatedly. Their parents preached marriage is forever, then divorced at double the rate of the previous generation. They were told, work hard, stay loyal to the company, then watched their dads get handed pink slips after 20 years, replaced by a spreadsheet. They sat through duck and coverage reels for nuclear war, while teachers acted like hiding under a desk would actually stop a hydrogen bomb. When reality keeps betraying the promise, you stop believing in promises. You build emotional armor. You cross your fingers for good outcomes, but deep down, you expect the rug to pull out, because historically, it always has. Psychologists call this defensive pessimism. Gen X just calls it Tuesday. And this explains their relationship with social media. To younger generations, posting your life feels like connection. To Gen X, it feels like exposure. They grew up when messing up meant maybe 10 people knew, and it faded by next week. Today, one bad tweet can follow you for a decade. So they stay quiet, not because they don't get tech, but because they learned early, the less people know about you, the safer you are. Let's talk about how Gen X actually works. They don't post rise and grind at 5 a.m. They were grinding at 5 a.m. delivering newspapers in freezing darkness when they were 12. Their first jobs weren't resume builders, they were survival training. Calculating tax plus change in your head when the register died, bagging groceries until your fingers went numb, learning that a broken bike chain doesn't fix itself. You flip the bike, get grease under your nails, and figure it out. They watched corporate loyalty destroy their parents, so they made a silent pact with themselves. I won't expect the company to protect me, but I will make myself so competent that they can't afford to lose me. That's why Gen X leadership feels different. They respect competence, not titles. Show up knowing your stuff, they'll follow you into hell. Show up with a fancy MBA but no practical skill, they'll quietly work around you. And here's the paradox no one talks about. They'll never ask for help, ever. But if you need help, they'll show up at your house on a Saturday with tools in hand. No Instagram story, no expectation of thanks. Just quiet, uncelebrated competence. Gen X is the only generation that remembers life before and after the internet. Before Google, knowledge had weight. You spent Saturday afternoons in the library hunting through card catalogs for one book that might hold the answer. That information cost you time, effort, physical exhaustion. And because of that, you remembered it. Cognitive psychologists call this desirable difficulty, the idea that struggle deepens learning. Gen X didn't just consume information, they earned it. Then came 1995, Netscape, dial-up modems screaming in bedrooms across America. And Gen X didn't just adopt this new world, they built its foundations. They coded the first browsers, designed the first e-commerce sites, moderated the first online communities. But unlike digital natives, they never confused the tool with the truth. They knew the internet was powerful, but also fragile, manipulable, and temporary. That's why they're the only generation that regularly logs off. They remember what silence feels like, and they know boredom isn't a problem to solve. It's where creativity is born. Now Gen X is raising kids and doing something radical. They're giving their kids the attention they never had, but it comes with quiet anxiety. They see their kids growing up with constant supervision, participation trophies, and social media documenting every stumble. And a fear whispers in the back of their minds. Did we overcorrect? Did we make them too soft, too dependent, too visible? Because in the Gen X worldview, forged in empty houses and broken promises, visibility equals vulnerability, struggle equals strength, and being alone with your thoughts isn't loneliness, it's where you learn who you are. They're also the sandwich generation, caring for aging boomer parents while funding Gen Z kids' student loans. No fanfare, no TikTok trends about it, just quiet responsibility carried without complaint. Here's the truth we miss about Gen X. They're not invisible. They chose invisibility. While other generations perform identity online, Gen X built actual things offline. While influencers chase clout, Gen X fixed the server that keeps the influencers app running. They are the last generation that truly understands how to be alone without being lonely, how to fix what's broken with their hands, how to hold two contradictory truths at once. I hope for the best, but I'm prepared for the worst. They are the bridge between the analog past and digital future. And bridges don't get monuments. They just hold the weight while everyone else crosses. We call them cynical. They call themselves realistic. We call them disengaged. They call themselves careful. We overlook them entirely. But without Gen X, there is no internet as we know it. No indie film movement that reshaped Hollywood. No grunge that gave voice to alienation. No quiet backbone holding institutions together while louder generations debate who gets credit. So if you are Gen X, or you love someone who is, or if you've ever benefited from the silent competence of someone who never asked for praise, do this. Subscribe, because we make content for people who think deeper than algorithms reward.